Hi, hello, welcome to the Select Characters podcast. My name is Chris Anderson, I will be your host, and I am joined by three people tonight. And the first one of that is Jamie Van Lint. Hello.
Hello.
Talk to me. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah? Done anything out of the ordinary during the week?
Not particularly. I just played a lot of games.
Oh, well, that's good for our second segment then, but you're not much use of me now then. All right, let's slide on over to Enrique Cancel. Hiya.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. What have you've done over the week?
Just prepping for a wedding I'm going to next end of the week here.
In the best version of Carolina, right?
Yeah, in the North Carolinas. It's weird. Like, it's for my girlfriend's sister, and their wedding is, I guess they rented out a beach house that's like literally on the beach, as in you can't drive your car there. You have to park at some mall and then take a dune buggy over some dunes to go into the beach to get to the house.
That sounds impractical.
That's my favorite part of weddings.
Oh yeah,
the dune buggies.
So we rented a Route 4 just to be able to drive on it. Because I'll be damned if I'm going to stay stuck in that.
Yeah, like there's literally nothing in the surrounding area, just dunes.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't aware that North Carolina had like a desert apparently, but yeah, I guess that beach house is like there's enough of a beach area that you need transportation to get there.
Right.
North Carolina has beautiful beaches.
So I've heard. I don't think I haven't been there in like years. So, but should be fun.
All right. Let's slide on over to Samuel Yates. Hello.
Why am I last?
I don't know. You were randomly selected?
It's the last name.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
right, I'm
it's
keeping
the Y.
track.
Yeah.
I've got a chart here, and I've been tracking your introductions, and I normally go much earlier.
Well, maybe I'll just talk to the people I like the most first and work my way down the list.
That's what I'm seeing. Like, you got the showing favoritism for people on your side of the ocean here.
Well,
And then this way, and then Enrique. It's fine. It's fine. It's totally cool.
So what are you trying to say? He normally doesn't like me?
I'm trying to say it's totally cool. I don't. That has no bearing on my life. How he feels about you.
oh yeah, that's not going to cause conflict at some point down the road. Well done, man. But no, I don't dislike you or like you more than the other people in attendance here. I just thought I'd pick you last this time.
Rank us in numerical order right now.
I won't say anything without my
shitting
lawyer
If you're
present.
stuck on a desert island, who would you take with you?
It's probably Jamie, because that guy's hilarious when he's drunk.
Oh, that's good then.
Is there going to be a lot of alcohol on this desert island?
In this hypothetical scenario, would I be able to choose the deserted island? And the only thing it should be...
When
is
has that ever been a
deserted.
caveat for that scenario?
Well, I just want to go to that one where they sent Captain Jack Sparrow to in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, because that seems like fun, and I won't burn any rum, so there's that. I think that's Jamie sold on the idea. So
Hell yeah.
all right, so before we go too far off track, let's just talk about what we have been playing this week, and we are going to start with Samuel Yates.
Knew it. I knew it.
Do you feel okay now? Do you feel vindicated in some way?
Are you validated?
So very much, man. Because now it averages out, so I'm right in the middle. 3 and then 1, so I don't have to go to the desert island.
Remember,
I'm like
it's a
the
numbers
first
game.
place after the person who gets stuck on the desert island. So yeah, this is good. This is fine.
All right.
This week I just played Worms, man.
Oh, shit.
Thank you, Jamie, for hooking me up
Yes,
and letting me know that was out there. I'm almost S-ranked that game.
Oh,
I'm like two missions away from being completely done with it.
Wait, is that the new Worms WMD?
That's the one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
How are you liking it?
It's good. It's a very good Worms game.
is it more
it's
in
a
the vein
very
of the
good Worms
older
game.
ones, or is it more like? Well, it's not. It's not
There's not-
3D this time round, is it?
No, but the way they do the textures for the landmass is that it looks 3D, but it acts 2D.
Right.
So if you were looking at a hill, it would have a bunch of buildings on it, and it looks like there's some depth there and like little signs and houses and things. But when you blow it up, it just acts.
Right. Okay.
It's very pretty. I like it a lot. And your old friend, like the 1 pixel square of terrain, definitely makes a reappearance and is back.
Oh, good. I like those. So is the holy grenade still in the game?
Yeah, absolutely,
God,
still
yes.
in the game.
Fantastic. Are there new weapons? If so, which one is the most fun in your opinion?
There's new weapons. There's like vehicles and stuff. Jamie kind of covered all of that last week. So I guess I'm just going to add a few additional thoughts that I like. And the first one is that the crafting system, I think, gives the basic weapons a lot more play, because instead of having 100 weapons or whatever, you have the basics, and then you upgrade the basics to get to the fancier weapon.
Right.
So that means instead of just always using the most powerful thing, you find like bazookas and grenades get a lot more play, and shotguns and stuff. So I like the crafting system because it does that. It takes that huge amount of choice and kind of boils it down to a situation where you're actually using the basic weapons.
So the
That's
amount
pretty
of
awesome.
the amount of weapons this time around is a lot more manageable than it was in the older games, because I do sort of remember that I only used a very small pool of weapons and just left the others where they were.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you have the more powerful thing, why would you ever use, something else? But in this case, since the more powerful thing is normally locked behind the crafting system, and you need to get the materials for that and make all that work, the basic stuff gets a lot more play, which I think is awesome.
How do you do that? How do you gather resources?
They're in crates floating around, or you can dismantle certain things. And it's not as complicated as a crafting system might sound. There's only 4 ingredients, and as you work your way up the tiers, they cost more ingredients.
Right.
So if the basic upgrades only cost some of the first 2, and then when you get into the even more better things, they take the first 3, but still containing that initial set. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I explained that in a good way.
I think I get it. But those crates, they just float around in the levels that you do, and you can just pick them up, and then they're added to an inventory, and then via a different menu outside of the matches, you can craft new gear.
Right, yeah,
All right.
exactly. And it's not like you have to memorize recipes or anything, because everything kind of stacks on top of each other in a linear fashion. Like nothing's going to take ingredient 1 and ingredient 4, but 0 of the ones in the middle.
Mm-hmm. So
because
go on.
Well, because it escalates, right? Like these take ingredient 1 and 2, these take ingredient 1, 2, 3, these take ingredient 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. Easy.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too complex. More like there's a tiny amount of grinding in that game to just keep you aiming for a higher goal for longer. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it can be. And like I said, it makes the basic weapons come into play. Because if you can't get that stuff or you don't have enough, that's great.
Mm-hmm. So would you recommend that game to a past version of yourself?
I think so.
Yeah, this is going to be a thing now. If we're going to do reviews on the YouTube channel again, that is definitely going to be the metric. Because
I mean, I think I would. Yeah, sure, why not? There's some changes. I think Dynamite does 65 instead of 70 damage now.
Right.
So write that down somewhere. The ninja rope's still awesome. Oh, and here's a fun thing. You can move the double jump with the flip in it?
Yeah.
I don't think anymore that you have to face away from where you want to go and then do a backflip.
Oh, that's good, because that always fucked me up.
It took me 20 to 30 hours before I realized that. I was doing it the old way for such a long period of time. Face away, backflip up, right? But I think the front flip covers the same amount of height now, which is great.
Mm-hmm. All right, then.
Positive changes all around.
Good. So that was the only thing you played this week, right?
That was it, man.
Not started to play the Witcher 3 expansions yet?
No, man. I really, really wanted to when I had that goal in mind. And now it's just like, well.
Did you see the link I showed you earlier this week about that Clockwork Town?
Oh, Clockwork Empires. Yeah, I saw. I don't know if that game's ready for a full release, man.
I know. Man.
I checked in on it like a month back, and it's still pretty jank. But I don't know. Maybe they're just doing polish for a month straight or something, or maybe they need to get it out the door as soon as possible. But that game, at least when I played it about a month ago, did not seem ready for the big time. Yeah. So Worms is good. I got a couple bugs that were kind of a bummer, but not like any that have been huge. I got one where I had to kill the last worm with a certain weapon, and I got all the way down to the last worm, and he killed himself.
Oh,
right.
So that's just like AI jank, but that was terrible because the missions take a very long time when you start getting probably 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And then so I had another one where the enemy worm ran out of time on his turn, and then it just stuck there forever. Just very frustrating stuff. And when they take so long to complete, So in general, I would recommend that game to a past version of myself, and Clockwork Empires is not ready for
duly noted. And I have to choose the next person, but I feel the pressure now. I'm gonna go with Enrique Cancel. If that helps you sleep at night, mate, let's go.
It does sometimes. Okay.
It's cool.
No,
What have you been playing?
I had like a weird bit of gaming, and I actually played like a couple different titles on Steam just because it held my attention for long enough.
Right.
So I kind of went down the list of some games that I haven't tried in a while, and pleasantly surprised with some. So I tried Force, which was entertaining. It's like an arena puzzle game, gauntlet style. If that makes you're basically like you pick a hero. You know, it's 1 or 4 heroes, and they have like each of the archetypes. There's like a tank style one, like a rogue style, like ranged combatant.
Right.
So you pick your character class, and you're basically dropped in an arena where you have to, I guess, fight waves of enemies at the same time, trying to complete a puzzle to get out. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool when you have like multiple people, because that way it's a fun like couch co-op. Like you take turns like splitting up the enemies and like standing on different pressure plates to open a door and like navigate through a maze, trying to stay alive while there's pressure of like enemies and traps attacking. Mm-hmm. So it makes for a fun co-op game. So I did that. I did Gods Will Be Watching, which I had forgotten about that game because it looked really cool. It looked like one of those little like choose your own adventure style that the choices you make will affect your end game and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, and I think I played all of like 10 minutes of it because I remember how disappointing it was, because the game actually has very little depth. It paints itself as like one of those like morality games where you get to make questionable choices, and the choices you made will carry from scenario to scenario like over and over again, and then eventually it'll impact your final story. But in reality, what it is just a very shallow like resource management game.
Right.
Where, like, I think the first mission, you're basically a pirate that just attacked, like, a civilian ship. And you basically need to buy time for your hacker to, like, I guess to transport some kind of, like, cargo. So the hacker needs to, like, hack into the system and download the data they need. And the space police just came in and started, shooting at the door. So basically you have to manage your resources to keep your hostages, like, tranquil, keep your hacker going, and then keep the police from attacking you. So you have to basically go back and forth with talking to them, and keeping the prisoners content. But if you're too nice to the prisoners, they'll try to escape, and then if they escape, you have to shoot them, which in turn aggravates the police, and then they start shooting at you. So it's like this whole, which is kind of cool, but it becomes very tedious as the game progresses.
And the narrative isn't enough to keep you going.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's broken up really awkwardly, where you have like a story, and then you don't have a resource management thing, so it kind of like breaks immersion really quickly. So
That's a shame.
Yeah, it had potential, but I don't know. Like I said, it was all like 15, 20 minutes. I was like, I remember why I stopped playing this game.
Why do when I see that game in my mind's eye, why do I see a screenshot with people sitting around a campfire?
Yeah, because that's part of the game. Because I guess that campfire thing is, the game starts in that setting where they crash down on this planet, and then it goes back into like a flashback, and that's where the gameplay starts.
Oh, it's like a Canterbury Tales kind of.
Yeah, it's like this
situation?
is where we are now.
Okay.
This is how it started, and then you go back, because basically something goes wrong with that hostage situation, and the ship ends up crash landing, and then you're on that planet. But yeah, so it was I played a little bit Hyper Light Drifter, which is still a great game. Very Zelda-esque with the exploration and the combat.
60 FPS update, right?
I know, it's so smooth now. So I mean, that makes that's a
Wait, was it like capped to 30 or something before?
Yeah, it was locked to 30. There was a couple of mods that you could use to, I guess, break it free, but then you get like really bad stability issues.
And it's just weird that they released that game on a PC locked at 30 frames per second. Just why? People are going. That is a surefire way to get people to get angry at you. Why would you do it?
Because the game calculations, I think, isn't it normally AI decisions are based on frame rate and stuff like that?
Really? For that game, yeah, because a lot of it's with the combat system, like the way the enemies attack, it's all based on like location and frame rate. So I think it might have been one of those scenarios where like, let's just make it easy on ourselves and cap it at 30, and then later on we can adjust it.
Right. Yeah, that really shows how little I know of actual game development, because this is all news to me. But yeah, fair enough.
I mean, it didn't look bad at 30, dude. I mean, just the animation style alone made the game gorgeous. So even at 30 frames, it was still playable. I mean, it wasn't like it was a make or break thing.
It sounds like a game that requires you to have quick reflexes, and that just works better if it's at 60 frames or above and not at 30, because it can feel a bit sluggish at 30 every now and then.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, there were some moments where you have like those rage deaths where you're like, what the fuck, I totally moved.
Yeah,
so I can see
stuff like that. It's just rather not.
Yeah, so but then, going back and playing things like Darkest Dungeon, which is always a fun one. There's a new expansion out coming for it soon called the Crimson something. It's like the Crimson Party, or I guess it's like a vampire-themed expansion from the looks of it.
Right.
So I want to get my feet with like Darkest Dungeon and replay it again. It's still as fun as I remember. It's got a really cool aesthetic, and the narrators.
I still need to go back and play that game because I've been sort of neglecting it for the.
It's still kind of punishing at some points where like you just like you look, because like the whole point of it is basically you take your party, go into the dungeon, you go for as long as you can, and there's like that trade-off where the longer you go, the more susceptible they are to like the darkness, and they can get their maladies, which are kind of like psychological effects they get from being in the dungeon for too long. Mm-hmm. They can turn to like a kleptomaniac. So if you ever run into loot, there's a random chance that a particular party member will steal the loot for themselves, so you don't have access to it.
Right.
One of my persons became a masochist, so they would damage themselves before every turn. Another one became paranoid, and it actually stopped them from receiving any heals because they thought that their own party members were out to get them. So whenever they'd be low on health and they try to cast a healing spell, they would basically move so you couldn't cast it.
Huh.
So I mean, it's cool when like those kind of maladies happen because it changes the dynamic of the gameplay a bit. So you have to adjust like your approach. And you're always doing that cost and reward kind of calculation in your head where, like, okay, I just survived that battle. I think I can go one more round and get to that treasure chest, or, I might want to turn back now and come back later. So it's really cool. But yeah, dude, it's just sometimes you feel like you look at your party and just everybody's, like, suffering from something. You're like, Jesus Christ, sorry, broken sod. I'm just, like, what am I running here?
It's a beautiful metaphor for life.
Yeah, very, very nihilistic. So, but it's still a great game. It's gorgeous, and it's probably one of the most fun games that I've played so far. So I'm kind of excited for the expansion to come back out.
And that's coming out like when? Is it soon? Like within the next couple of weeks?
No, actually, it just recently got announced. So they don't have an ETA yet. They're supposed to be releasing a trailer. So.
All right, so it's most definitely going to be very late 2016 or very early 2017.
Probably
something like that. All right, cool. Well, keep us updated on that, and we'd love to hear your thoughts when you actually play the expansion.
Yep, and that's about it. I mean, the other big achievement is I leveled up a second character to 110 on WoW, which is
a big
achievement.
That is actually quite an achievement because the way the endgame grind is set up it's not friendly to ults at all because the whole Suramar grind.
Although, I don't know if you heard, but for the 7.1 update, they're actually adding some quality of life changes where they're making it so if those kind of reputation locks, like the questing and world quests and all that stuff, they are, as long as you unlock them on one character, they'll be available to any other alt from then on once you reach 110.
Oh God, that is such an important change, and I'm really glad that they're adding that to the game.
I know, and it kills me because when you're doing it on one character, it's fun, but it feels like it's very not non-alt friendly because when you think about it, I'm sitting on my Death Knight, which is the second character I leveled, and I'm like, crap, I just reached 110, and I still need to hit friendly with 2 factions, and then on top of that, I have to progress to like the Suramar quest chain to just unlock 2 more dungeons.
Yeah.
So it's kind of daunting, and it kind of makes you not want to play. You're like, Jesus Christ, I don't have time for this. But the fact that they're kind of adding that quality of life thing makes it a little bit more rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. They're also adding that Karazhan 5-man raid.
Yeah, it's a super raid. No, it's an instance actually. It's one of like a super instance because it's gonna have I think like about 9 or 10 bosses, but it's still gonna be just a 5-man instance.
Right.
And I think you can only do it on Mythic Mythic. So the idea between how like they added all these little different layers of the Dungeon Finder where you have normal mode, you have heroic, and now you have Mythic and then Mythic Plus.
Yep.
So for anyone that doesn't know, they took kind of like of the model from Diablo, where you could basically unlock those little like keystone rifts and just kind of keep playing a harder version of the rift until where everything gets harder and harder, but there's better rewards. And the idea is you keep progressing until you can't. So they did that with Mythic Dungeons, where you can do normal and heroic, you can queue randomly, but with Mythic Dungeons and above, you have to have a pre-made group. So you can't just group with anybody from across the server. You need to have a specific group, and when you complete the mythic, you can get a keystone. And at keystone, you can actually use it to activate a mythic level of the dungeon, which increases like enemy health. It actually adds random modifiers to the dungeons themselves. So like one dungeon can be teeming, which means increases the number of like mobs that patrol the dungeon and things like that.
Right.
And you can keep going, I think, up to mythic 10. And every mythic, the enemies get more health. They do way more damage. There's more modifiers in them that can kind of change how you play, and it's actually really fun. So that Karazhan instance that's coming out, it's going to be a mythic only, so it won't be something you can just queue randomly.
Huh. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, but My guess is the way that WoW usually does it, they'll probably eventually kind of make it available in the Dungeon Finder, but for a while it'll probably just be exclusive, just to kind of give people like that satisfaction of like, oh, only we can do this right now.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm looking forward to seeing like videos of it, because I'm probably not going to be able to play that dungeon until it gets out of 2D Dungeon Finder.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit of a commitment, to grind Mythic and Mythic Plus stuff with other people in the game, and it's just time I don't really have right now. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting though, because I remember, I think Ghostcrawler, he even though he works for Riot, he still kind of tweets and talks about WoW once in a while. Mm-hmm. And he made a comment in passing about how he thinks that the Raid Finder was probably the worst mistake, the design choice they've made for WoW.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, they kind of expanded on it, and like it kind of made sense the way he was talking about it, because the mentality behind it was that raids are supposed to be like these really cool kind of events where you get together with your group and you get that sense of achievement going through on it. And they wanted to kind of give something to people that don't have the time to do it, because raids normally take a couple hours, a lot of coordination, and the idea was like, well, hey, we want people that don't necessarily have 3-4 hours a night to sit down and just raid consistently. Let's try to get like a easier mode where they can sit down and do it. But the issue they were finding is when the Raid Finder first came out, the bosses were still pretty difficult, and what you were having was they get to a boss, since there's a whole mentality of instant gratification, so like they'd wipe once or twice and then half the group would leave. And as for the raid leader, it was really hard to kind of get everybody organized, because Raid Finder doesn't have like a raid leader. It's just a bunch of people randomly in a group, so you'd have like this revolving door of people coming in, trying it then leaving. So it's like these people just keep getting locked to an instance, they can't progress, so it's frustrating. So the other option was to basically dumb it down to the point where you can just face roll it, and that's what they ended up doing, which is great for some people, where you can just kind of like plow through, but then it kind of takes away any of the progression or even that sense of achievement from it.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. The people like me, for instance, that plays that content mainly through the Dungeon Finder, I still feel a sense of achievement when I beat the bosses, and I still feel a sense of achievement when I finish the dungeon. And I think that's true for a lot of people in the looking for group mode.
I personally agree, but this is what their mentality was on it. And I think it also mentioned how like with the reward, like they also have to tweak the rewards, because when they offer like the tier and trinket rewards, a lot of raiders that actually do like the full-time raid felt like they were forced to do that content as well to stay competitive, because then they're doing their own raids, and then now they have these drops that can happen on the Raid Finder, so now they feel like they have to go back and do Raid Finder as well, so it kind of became exhausting for everybody involved. So now they have like that thing they did with Warlords of Draenor, where you could play the Raid Finder, but you didn't get the same rewards you did as if you did the actual raids.
Yeah, they're always of lesser quality.
Yeah, and I guess people were upset about that because they couldn't get their tier pieces, they couldn't get like the cool looking items and stuff like that. You have like basically a really generic skin for your gear. So now with Legion, what they're doing is you are getting like the raid tier. So like you'll get like that cool design if you care about the cosmetic aspect of it, but the item level is about 30 to like anywhere from 20 to 30 levels lower than what you would get from the actual raid tier. So
yeah.
You're basically getting like dungeon equivalent gear. So I don't know if it's a happy medium, because I've seen people complaining about it. Like, oh, well, if I do Raid Finder, why am I getting punished for this? But at the same time, I kind of, I like it because you still get to do the content. You get to see it. Your reward isn't as great, but it's, you got to meet them halfway.
Yeah, it's a necessary convenience, I think, for World of Warcraft, especially because the largest part of the people playing that game are casuals, and they do want to feel like they had their money's worth. I mean, if you turn your back on the casuals, people will start to turn their backs on your game. So it's necessary to appease them a little more than the hardcore crowd, even though it should be evenly spaced. But this is the world we live in now.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see the developments, but I mean, I don't know. I think the Raid Finder has been I think it's been a positive addition for the most part. Mm-hmm. I mean, hey, like Legion's doing really well. I mean, it went back up to like 10 million subscribers.
Really? Wait, they stopped reporting their subscriber numbers,
actually,
right?
Yeah. That's my mistake. So the rumor is that they went up to 10 million. I think one of the WoW devs did an interview with, I think a German or a Dutch gaming magazine, and they offhandedly mentioned that their subscription numbers went back up. And I think they might have misquoted him and reported that as news, saying, "Oh, WoW's back up to 10 million now."
Yeah. So miscommunication, and then the press fucked it.
Yes, and then I think because Blizzard straight came out and said, "Hey, we haven't reported on subscription numbers in a while now, so this is inaccurate." But I think the general feel is that its subscription numbers have climbed significantly.
Well, yeah, of course, because with this expansion, they rammed real hard on the nostalgia button.
It's all the in case of emergency break glass options.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you guys remember Illidan? Yeah, we've got Illidan. We do. You like the Vrykul? We've got Vrykul now, and elves and Ashara and this and that. So it's all the things players have been asking for years, and now it's in one whole expansion, which on the one hand makes me really happy because it's content I'd love to see, but on the other hand, I'm thinking, what are they going to do with the expansion after this? Because it feels like they've blown their load on this expansion, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Are we going to fight the Lich King again, or is Killfast coming back in some way, shape, or form? I mean, he has cheated death fucking twice. He can do it a third time.
It'd be cool if they did what they with Final Fantasy did, Realm Reborn, where they just kind of destroyed the world and just started from scratch.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of that. The giant meteor killing everything. and then they had to reboot it. That was just a fucking shame, wasn't it?
No, but I mean, like the game, Final Fantasy Realm Reborn is actually a lot better than it started off at. So I mean, it's kind of cool that they did that transition.
Yeah, I was basically just making a cynical joke. I know why they decided to reset the entire thing, and I'm really glad for the people playing that game now that it's a lot better than it used to be, because apparently it was really, really bad the first time round. But
yeah, there's some questionable design choices.
Well, yeah, Square Enix, you know.
Hey, shut up, man! They did Sleeping Dogs.
So
Sleeping Dogs is great.
Yeah, but most of their other games, Final Fantasy, I don't know, dude. I'm not on board with that franchise. Although I am quite interested to see what's going to happen with 15 and with the 7 remake.
You know what was cool about 11 though, like in comparison to other MMOs, was when you were doing combat, you could alley-oop with people.
Yeah.
All right.
That was neat. Like I don't think WoW has anything like that.
You talking about like how
cool.
you could piggyback off each other's attacks?
Yeah, like your skills could tie into other people's skills directly, and you had to work together and kind of do it on a timer and stuff to combine them.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Guild Wars tried doing something like that, where like some of your skills like would leave like an AOE effect that if somebody else did their skill on top of it, it would kind of like buff them. But no, yeah, dude, like Final Fantasy 11 definitely, because I remember how in the games how you can kind of combo your abilities and stuff like that with all the characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where like you can have one character cast like a debuff, and then the other character can get like a bonus roll on that. It was like that, but it required a lot of coordination between players. Where like Sam was saying, it was like the alley oop was the best way to describe it. Where they would toss out an attack, and then you could immediately jump in and cast your attack within the same time limit, and then a third person come in and like add on to it. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. It was very neat. I haven't seen anything like that ever again. I mean, it's a shame the rest of that game was kind of garbage because that part was actually pretty neat.
Maybe they mistakenly thought that feature was one of the features people wanted gone. I don't know. Again, how can you know? It's Square fucking Enix.
You ever play that game Nier?
Dude, Nier was awesome.
Nier was amazing, and like the biggest thing I've ever heard people say about that game is like that is the game that Final Fantasy 13 basically should have been.
You know what threw me off about Nier? Have you ever played Drakengard? It was an old PS2 game. It was like this really trippy like dragon story. Apparently Nier is supposed to be like a sequel to Drakengard. Really? Yeah, I guess they're set in the same universe and like some weird shit happened. But yeah, Drakengard was an interesting game. It's like a RPG, but it's very kind of like a horde mode style. Like Dynasty Warrior style, where it's just like your character with like a weapon, you level up, and then just hordes of enemies attacking.
No further questions.
Yeah.
Was that everything you played this week?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's slide on over to Jamie Van Lint. What have you been playing this week?
Well, last week I spoke a little bit about Tomb Raider. I finally finished Tomb Raider this week. Not the new one, the one that comes before the new one.
The first reboot, you mean?
Well, the 17th reboot.
Well,
like,
yeah.
The first one they actually friggin' acknowledged.
Penultimate Tomb Raider reboot.
I know, right?
I'll allow it.
I finally completed that, and I discovered what that game's problem is for me, and it's like that game takes itself way too seriously. Like, there's parts in that game where you're, like, sliding down a muddy chute, and then you jump off and land on a grappling, like, you land on a zip line, and you slide down the zip line, and jump off and land on another zip line, and then that one collapses, and you land on a third zip line that just happens to be underneath that one. And it's like, this game does all of this at the same time, whilst, like, trying to be this genuine cinematic masterpiece. And
I mean, that's how I got to work yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to compare the game to Uncharted too much, but, like, at least in Uncharted, when something ridiculous is happening, like when there's a train hanging over the edge of a cliff and you're climbing that, Nate's there with, like, some witty banter about, like, oh, how do I get myself into these situations? Like, what's the chance of this happening? Mm-hmm. And it just makes it a little bit easier to swallow when there's something ridiculous happening, that the game and the characters acknowledge that it's ridiculous, rather than, like, this Tomb Raider thing where it's batshit insane, but they try and pretend like it's serious melodrama.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
So,
for that to work, you have to have fully fleshed out characters, and I found the reboot of Tomb Raider and the subsequent sequel to be lacking in that department.
Like I said last week, like her transition from innocent sweet girl to serial killer just like consists of her staring into a mirror, and then like
I mean that's supposed to show contemplation and self-reflection.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she went from frightened girl to just a killer in 5 minutes. Yeah, right. But come on, and Camilla Luddington's vocal performance is fucking terrible.
I just love it. Like, the first time she kills someone in that game, she's like all shook up and she's like gonna get sick and she's like torn apart. And then like after that, she's like, cool, I'm over it now. I'm just gonna fucking shoot everyone that I see.
It's the first one that's the hard one. I mean, you know that.
Ludonarrative dissonance, I think it's called.
So yeah, I played that a little. I played a lot of Lego Star Wars as well, but
yeah, this was fun.
I don't have a lot to say about that game. I mean, I've literally played and platinumed every single Lego game from like Batman 1 all the way through to Star Wars now, and like I've got Lego The Hobbit on my shelf as well, ready to go. So, I don't have a lot to say about Star Wars. Like, they're all the same, pretty much.
But they're fun, though.
They are fun. They're great fun. But they're like, I don't know why. Like, every single one of them I 100%, and they're all like just a grind.
Yeah, they're all collectathons, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like collectathons and lots of busy work in the open world. Like, some dudes need something like dusted up, and some other dude has lost his glasses that you need to find, and
I mean, so what is like? Do you just resign yourself to that and keep playing, or do you just not notice it in the moment?
It's like every time I play a new one, I notice it, but then because it's like a year before another one comes out, I forget. And I'm like, oh, cool, a Lego game, and then I start playing it. I'm like, oh yeah, this happens.
God damn it! Again.
I always fall into the trap. It's a lot of fun though. Like, I recommend it if you haven't played a Lego game. Like, they added in a lot of stuff to spice it up as well. Gallery, kind of a third-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of like spaceship battles and stuff, which haven't obviously been in it for a while because the last Lego Star Wars game that came out was ages ago. So there's enough things to sort of like keep it different while you're playing.
Well, it's also charming, right? Those games. That's what make them fun in the end.
Yeah, like the cutscenes and stuff are hilarious, and there's a lot of like dialogue and stuff in there as well. Where I'm like, this is a kid's game, but you listen to the dialogue and it's like, there's no way a kid is going to understand like what that person.
Yeah, I do sort of vaguely recall now that you were really nuts about Lego. Was it Lego Worlds? No, that's not the one. What's the one with the whole like the portal? You can use?
Lego Dimensions.
That's the one.
Dude, I love that game. They just brought out some new level packs and story packs as well.
Oh, it's still ongoing. Nice.
Yeah, there's a season 2 that's like just launched. They launched it first of all with the new female Ghostbusters thing,
right?
And they've also got like Mission Impossible. They've got Sonic the Hedgehog. They've got like Knight Rider. They've got like Adventure Time in there.
What?
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, or whatever the new Harry Potter film's called. There's like a load of crap going on. Yeah, I'm looking for...
Okay, I want to play that, because that sounds awesome. That is tacking on every franchise they can get their hands on, and I love that. Isn't Doctor Who in that as well?
Yeah, he is. Like, that Lego Dimensions thing, a genius game I've ever played. The fact, like, with any other game like that, you know, they've got, Disney Infinity and Skylanders and stuff. Mm-hmm. All of those games simply have got this portal, and in order to gather more characters, you have to go out to a shop and buy the characters. And that's the only reason that portal exists, shaft more money out. Whereas in the Lego Dimensions game, they make it like a genuine gameplay aspect. There's parts where you have to color. Like, there's a thing that comes up on the screen that is the same shape as the portal that you play on, and there's 3 sections to it. There's like a left section, a right section, and you have to color them a different color. So you have to get the characters that you've got on the gamepad, color each one a different color. So there's a red, a yellow, and a blue, and then stand them on the different parts to make them that color.
Right, that's pretty cool.
And then it gets a little bit more complicated later on, where you have to like mix the colors together. So there's a blue and a yellow, and you have to mix it to make green on one port, the red and the blue to make like purple on another part of the... And it gets really deep. And I just like the fact that you've got to do sort of stuff in real life with this portal to solve puzzles in the game.
Yeah, that's really cool. It sounds like they made DRM fun, to be honest.
Basically, yeah.
Does this thing I'm looking at, do you actually have to build the portal?
Oh yeah, you have to build everything. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Every character you buy comes with like a vehicle or sort of something like that. So like the portal pack, for example, comes with a turret and a companion. And you just start off with it all in bags, and as you progress through the level, there'll be a part in the level where you have to build a turret, and then it'll bring up the instruction manual on the screen. And you don't actually get an instruction manual with it, you just have to follow the instruction manual from the game to build all these little different cars or stuff as well.
Man,
okay, hold on. It knows like what you've built out of the pieces that you have?
Kind of. Like, it's kind of like the amiibo thing. You know how the amiibos can save onto the gamepad and the gamepad can save onto the amiibos?
Right.
So like all of the pieces that you get initially are like blank. But then as you play through the game, it knows like what pack you've got. So if you put Shell on there from Portal, for example, it knows that you've got the Portal pack and it plays you the Portal level. Then you'll get to a part of the level where it's like, okay, you've got to build the turret now. It will teach you how to build it, and then you clip it on, and then you save the portal... you save the turret to like the little game piece. So now that game piece knows that it's a turret. And also...
But if I just dropped the circle on it in real life and threw the rest of the pieces in the garbage can,
it would still
would
think
it ever
it's a
know the
turret.
difference?
No, I'd still think it's a turret. But there's also three different versions of everything. So there's level 1, level 2, and level 3 of everything you can build, and it uses the exact same pieces to rebuild it in a completely different way. So that you can like upgrade stuff as well, and it remembers all of the upgrades that you've bought. So if you want to go around a friend's house and you take your Lego pieces with you, it will remember the upgrades that you've purchased in your game and stuff like that.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really deep. And like my favorite thing as well is now they've brought out new story packs where initially the game, the portal you have to build the portal yourself, and now the story packs that they're bringing out have new portals. So in like the new Ghostbusters one, you have to build like this weird, I don't know, I guess it's like a Chinese restaurant or something. I haven't actually seen the film, and then you take the old portal off and you put that one onto the gamepad. And that's your new portal for that story.
I can't think of another game that did something like that to the degree that Lego is doing it now.
No,
that's
not at all.
That's awesome.
It's cooler than I expected.
Yeah, I love it. And that's like, I was kind of hesitant about buying it at first because I thought, like, literally the only reason this thing is to make me buy more characters.
I mean, gotta love that licensing, dude. You can do any character cross.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that is kind of a shame is because Disney have their Infinity franchise, they haven't put any Disney characters in the Lego one because there's like a conflict of interest there.
Right.
Because like the Disney Infinity and the Lego Dimensions are basically the same game but with different pads. There's no like Lego Star Wars, Lego Pixar or any of that's in the Dimensions game, which is a shame because, you know, Lego Star Wars was like the game that kickstarted the whole Lego thing into existence, really, in terms of video games. So it's a shame that they haven't like got the license to put that in there. I think that would have been really cool.
Well, they'll probably get it at some point because Disney Infinity is no longer a thing, is it?
No,
Yeah.
and I've got Disney Infinity. It's not really much of a game. It's a big sandbox thing where you can do sandboxy stuff, but that's fun for a little while. It's like Little Big Planet if there was no story. It's like, yeah, you can build your own world and that's it.
Yes, but why?
Exactly.
What's the point, even? Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Yes, I've also been playing Hex Cell.
Oh,
Hey,
Sam got you into it?
Absolutely. I downloaded them last week, and that game is my brain. Like,
it's pretty good, right?
it's so addictive. It like just sucks you in immediately, and I completely understand what you said about like not wanting to make a mistake because it's like spoilers.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That game's really, and I love the logic
good.
behind it. It's great. That's great fun.
Oh shit! I totally played this game on my phone once. I think it looks very familiar.
It's super fun.
It's a goodie. It's a fun little puzzler.
It
I
is.
agree. What game are you on right now?
I completed the first Hex Cells, and I've just started Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it starts to get sticky.
Yeah, I started playing it. I started playing Hexels, and I was like, dude, this is easy. This is all just like color by numbers, really. And then you get later on in the game, and it, like, even on the last world, it keeps introducing new mechanics, and you're like, okay, well, I wasn't prepared for that. It really starts to warp your mind with, like, I don't want to spoil any of the mechanics and stuff. You just got to sort of experience it and be, like, not be prepared for it. It's a real
All right, then.
And the final thing I've been playing is I got roped back into Gmod. I haven't, but I was invited online by a couple of friends the other day who wanted to play Gmod, and they discovered Ragged exactly what it sounds like. Just imagine a big arena that's like floating above a volcano or in space, a lot of edges, and there's a bunch of ragdoll John Cena's and like Captain Falcons and like Shia LaBeouf's running around,
Go
or just
on.
like launching themselves at each other.
That sounds great.
It's like similar to Smash Brothers, where like the more you get hit, the more your bar sort of starts to deplete, and the more your bar depletes, the further you fly when you get hit. So you sort of waddle around all floppy and throw yourself at people, and if their bar's low, they will fly off. It's super ridiculous.
So if I want to play that, how do I play that?
Just go onto Gmod, and I don't know. I was invited to a game, so I'm not quite sure, but I guess just search Ragdoll.
Okay, browse for a server or something.
Yeah.
So, no more Rayman this week?
I missed out a few days of Rayman challenges, actually. I was like, I know, I was so sad about it. Like, that's a good few points that's going to contribute to my levels. It's going to set me back by a few days, but I was on there today, and I got myself a golden. I'm bringing it back.
Do you think you could make like a special little musical tune for the, like just a little jingle for the Rayman segment?
Rayman updates?
I could actually do that, yeah. Give your own weekly show on the YouTube channel.
I think I definitely needed a few days off of
But just think about how far back you've fallen.
No, but it feels like a chore. Like, I don't know at what point I was just like, okay, this game is now a chore for me, and I have to go on every day to complete these challenges.
Well, you don't have to do anything, sir.
No. He does. The line thing, he just break away that easy.
Stop enabling him.
Well, I mean, number one, that segment's good content, and number two, if he stops, what about all the time he already put in?
True.
Exactly.
What about your investment?
Dude, I'm like 97% off.
You can't let that go to waste.
Well, or you totally can. You know.
Don't listen to Chris.
Chris,
He's a quitter.
What? How dare you? I'm trying to counsel my friend here. It's not healthy, mate.
I've been away from it for too long. I need
There you go.
Right, okay. So, let's see. I've been playing Mini Metro because it was free on the Origin Access Vault.
What is it?
And Mini Metro is a minimalist puzzle game where you have to construct an underground railroad. And all of that is represented by primary colors. It's all very rudimental in terms of how it looks. It's very tranquil. It's very ambient, really. It's just something you do for a couple of minutes and you can get something out of it. But you can also progress as far as you like. You can actually try to recreate the infrastructure in cities like London or New York or something like that. It's kind of hard. I've not really figured out the gameplay loop yet because it's still introducing little things to the mix that I have to get used to first. But I'd say that this is a good game. It's fun to play. It's fun in very short bursts, which is obviously what it's made for. And yeah, it's just fun. Just a nice tranquil experience to do when you've got a couple minutes, I guess.
Don't you hate like those awkward just moments of ambivalence in games that you can't tell if it's bad or good? Like you don't hate it, but you're like it's okay. I think.
Well, if I don't hate it, that's good, isn't it?
I guess. I mean,
No, it just means you're indifferent. There's a part in the middle where you're just indifferent.
yeah.
With neither good nor bad.
I'd say that I had more fun with this game than I had a general feeling of apathy towards it, I guess.
Okay.
So that's all right. I probably won't play much of that game, but when I play it, it's fine. I quite like it. It's okay. But yeah, it's not going to pop up on any Game of the Year lists, I think. I've been jumping back into Overwatch a little bit over the past week, and it's been not a couple months, I think. It's a month and a half. The last time I played it for more than once per week, I think. I got to witness the stark contrast between the players in Quick Match and the players in the ranked game mode. In the Quick Match, people are actually congratulating players on the opposite team for really good plays and stuff. And overall, it's just people just shooting the shit and just playing a bit of Overwatch, right? Uh-huh. And after playing a couple games in quick match because I wanted to, you know,
Brush up, right?
get a feeling for a game again. Yeah, exactly. Freshen up a little bit before I headed into ranked mode. Then I headed into ranked mode, and before we even got out of the spawn room, the first game, somebody had left. Another person called someone else. A variety of words I shall not repeat here because of a perceived wrong quote unquote pick, and we ended up winning the entire thing because other people were just playing the fucking game and not yelling at each other. It's such a stark contrast. Like for some reason, when there's an arbitrary number slapped on your performance, people go over the top. Absolutely.
We talked about this, dude. Like we all had that prediction. Like as soon as they announced competitive mode, we're like, man, all this fun we're having is just going to go right down the shitter.
Yeah. But it became even more apparent to me because I hadn't played it in a while, you know, and yeah. I got to compare the two modes. It's fucking terrible. Overwatch ranked mode is fucking terrible.
It's a cancer, and it sucks because like I understand you're like, oh, if you don't want to be competitive, go to quick play, which is it's fine if you just want to have fun, but competition is still fun for us. You know, I like to actually play a little bit more serious against people, and then like. Try to win up, try to raise your rank, and like that general concept of that competition and the ranking system is fun, but it's really hard when you go in there and then like the mentality for some people is just like literally you are cancer if you're not winning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I said have fun at the start of a match. And within seconds, somebody else told me, we don't have fun here in ranked. Fuck off to quick match if you want fun. I was, Jesus Christ, man.
Whoa, buddy.
Oh. Went from 0 to 60 real quick.
Yeah, right? Like, I think that guy already played some games before the one with me, but... It's fine to be competitive. That's great. We're in competitive mode to be competitive, but it's fully possible to be competitive and not be an absolute cunt while you're doing it.
Apparently not. I mean, if this is like any inkling on that.
Dude, that's like the same thing that happened with Team Fortress 2. Like, yes. Team Fortress has always been like this really, like, sketchy place. Like, if you don't have a hat, like,
fuck off.
You're worse than shit. And it's like so easy to like anger people just by wearing a gibbous, just because that's like the free hat. And they added competitive into that. Yeah, it got really nasty. Like it was really unpleasant.
It's weird though, because like I really want to understand like what goes into it, because I understand that when you're in that competitive mindset, there is that adrenaline rushing, and you get tense and you want to win, but at the same time, there's also like that loss of control where. From your perspective, you're doing everything that needs to be done to win, but your team isn't. And then you have like that, just for some people, it just bubbles into like this well of despair and rage.
Well, you can get it even worse. There are people in groups in competitive mode that aren't doing anything right, but they think they are, and they think that you are the problem, or they think that one specific player in your team is a problem. But it's a team game, right? Yeah. You win and lose as a team, and you won't become a better team if you call someone a it's you don't do that.
Oh man, that needs to be like a game disclaimer.
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry for throwing that word out there, but you know what I mean, right? These people, it's yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's difficult, right? Like you're playing, somebody on your team is doing something wrong. You're frustrated on your end behind the keyboard. So now you have to take action, because if you don't intervene, nothing is going to change.
Be the change.
And you have two paths. You have this road forks, right? And you can either you can Robert Frost that shit, take the road less traveled, or that takes time and effort to try and constructively adjust somebody's game, and that's just time and effort that maybe you don't have to spend, so you just go for the easy route. I don't know.
I mean, like I said,
but I don't know which one is more effective. I think they're also equally effective, but I guess it depends. And in that situation, you're going to take the easier route if they're both equally effective, and then the insults just start flying back and forth.
I mean, like, and I think it just ties back to like that loss of control, because you have that ranking system on you, and there's a tangible effect on that ranking. You either go up or down when you win and lose matches, and it's in a way out of your personal control, because if your team is just doing their own thing and they're flailing around, and you lose, like that, you had no control in that. But at the same time, like Chris said, there's that perception where I could be the fuck all that doesn't know what I'm doing, and I could only think that I know, and I could get mad at my entire team when I say, like, dude, we need to be running 5 Lucios. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, right. And I'm not very high in the rankings, right? But for some reason, this happened a couple times, not with me specifically, but with a team member. There's some person who's chastising or just outright trying to insult one of his team members for some perceived mistakes that person had made. And I just get fucking frustrated because these people are complaining about something and they're acting like they fucking know how the game works. But if you do, why the hell are you in the lowest tier in rank mode? Shut the fuck up.
Well, we had a match, I think it was last season, where one of our guys on our team was, I think we were on like the Nepal map, and one of the guys was playing Genji. But the opposing team had a Winston, they had a Zarya, they had a Symmetra. So Genji isn't really like useful against them because, you know, part of his whole thing is that, you know, he can deflect like the bullets for protection, but they don't have that. So, you know, we're trusting like, hey, dude, you might want to switch Genji. You know, that's not really helping us out. And he's like, fuck you guys, I know how to play Genji. We're like, that's not what we're saying. Like, I'm sure you're a great Genji player, but like, I don't think that's good against the cop they have. And he's like, fuck you guys, don't tell me what to do. I'm top tier. I'm a YouTube. You know, he said he's a pro Overwatch player. He's got his Twitch channel and he knows what the fuck he's doing. So we're like, all right, obviously no better than we did. So we all went and respawned and we all chose Genji. And he got super pissed that we were playing Genji. But like, dude, I mean, this is clearly the winning comp. Like, you said so yourself. And sure,
what did you say to him? What did you say to him? No, it's all right. I'm a streamer. I'm a professional Overwatch player. I can do this. Trust me.
I don't know. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just funny because, like, you know, you said you have that. There's always that one person that I guess I don't know if they just can't step away from their own pedestal of greatness and see the situation. But yeah, it's a team game, and like it does require communication with your team. So even if you're doing a random match, you should still be able to take a step back and say, hey, you know, 5 out of the 6 people on this team are calling me an asshole. Maybe I'm an asshole.
No, can't be, right? Because somebody else picked a Widow on a map you think does not need Widow, so he must fuck off. You have to tell them that.
I mean, that's rule number 1 Overwatch. So you always need more Widows.
Yeah, or during the draft phase, that fucking guy, the last guy that needs to pick a hero, and we need a healer, and he picks Hanzo. I don't set to yell at people, but when I see that happen, I feel like, yeah, this is going to be another one of those games, isn't it? And then within 3 minutes, it has devolved into a shouting match between people. Like, one person didn't want to play in that specific match. Like, oh, he picked Hanzo. I'm just going to sit here and do nothing until the end of the game because we're going to lose. Like, yes, we're going to lose because you're being a fucking petty idiot.
Yeah, or like, you know, he picks another Hanzo. He's like, well, I'm a better Hanzo, so I'm going to save this team. Oh, it's all up to me.
God, yes. It's weird. Yeah, like you just heard in the past 10 minutes or so, you can get passionate about video games, especially when they're competitive. That's fine, and you're allowed to be competitive, you're allowed to be passionate, but just don't be a dick, you know? Try to talk to people instead of just trying to insult them from the get-go, you know?
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's funny though, because there is that really stark contrast between quick play and competitive.
So big.
Like, okay, let's say, like, hey man, I don't think Hanzo is the best pick here, right? You're going to say that. Or just assume that basically you start with the assumption that no matter what you say to him, he's not going to pick anybody else but Hanzo. So you might as well let that frustration out.
No.
Because you're not going to be like, you know, I think that for this team composition, maybe there's a better choice than Hanzo. He's not going to change.
So,
like, no matter
Sam,
what.
what you're saying is that I shouldn't call anybody a faggot.
You might as well let him know what a
faggot.
fucking idiot he is. Yeah, exactly right. You're not going to get him to change, so you might as well let him know the character of his person. I'm kidding, but I don't know what the train of logic there is, but like that seems to make sense at least in some degree.
It's an overblown sense of self-importance, probably in an online video game. Nutters, just no.
That's amazing.
Jesus Christ!
Just for the record, I'm an amazing Hanzo. I just want to let that be known.
He is MLG. I've seen his Twitch channel.
Now, you're probably one of those Torbjorn mains, aren't you?
No, I never played Torbjorn, or I never did back in the day. Although I am also going to start playing Overwatch again. So we should.
Yeah, I kind of want to start playing
day.
again. I miss that game. Every time I hear people talk about it,
I went to that wedding and everybody was like, "Hey, we missed you on Overwatch," and I was like, "Oh shit, people are still playing that? All right, I guess I
People
will."
are still playing.
ooh, there was a leak for the Halloween stuff. It looks kind of fun.
I mean, I guess the summer games weren't all that impressive to me either. But then again, I played Rocket League, so that is definitely the better of the two.
Oh yeah, I mean it was meant to be like a completely original homage. So
Oh yeah, it was fun, but it didn't really add all that much to me. I'm hoping that the Halloween update is going to have some cooler stuff. The leaks I saw for the new skins and stuff, they look kind of cool.
oh, did they actually see this? All I saw was like the cropped image of like I guess it was like the jack-o'-lantern themed loot box that have, I think, skins, emotes, and things like that. But do you actually see any image?
I think I saw something pop up on Reddit a couple of days ago that looked like a skin for Junkrat, where he looks like Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Overwatch, definitely still a thing. It's one of those games that you can't continuously play, but it's safe to return to that game like every month or so, every other month.
Just don't go competitive, apparently.
Oh god, don't. Nothing can be gained from going into competitive mode ever. Jesus, we're already at the hour mark here, so I think we need to move on and talk about some news before we go off. But before we do that, I wanted to give a little shout out to somebody who sent us an email. A guy by the name of Nicholas. He says that he's been a listener from the first episode, and after we started doing news, he actually actively looks forward to listening to us every week, and that's awesome, man. Thank you. We really liked your psychoanalysis of our personalities as well. Thank you very much for that. It's just cool to know that there are people tuning in every single week, right? That's awesome. And if you send us a message, just to say hello or just to tell us how you feel about the show, that's cool. We like talking with our listeners, and we fully encourage you to do that. So if you want to send us an email, you can send one to selectcharacters@gmail.com, or you can hop on our Discord channel where it's mostly Sam, I think, who's on Discord, right?
I just never turn it off.
Oh, there you go.
I always have it open on the second monitor, so I'm always there.
So if you feel like talking to one of us, Discord, Sam's always there, ready to hear your every desire and every wish. Yes? Cool. Let's talk about some new stuff. How do you feel about sprays in Counter-Strike?
They're awesome.
They're super fun to track.
All right, so what if I told you that they are coming back to Counter-Strike Global Offensive?
I'd be very excited.
All right, now hear me out here, because we're not done. They are going to be microtransactions, and every single one of them will have limited use until you have to buy them again.
Oh.
I'm way less excited.
Wait, so really?
Yes, it seems like it. I'm looking at an article on PCGamer.com by Joe Donnelly, and he says that you can buy them off the community market. And this is a response to Valve dropping the support for skin trading because, all the betting scandals that surround it. And I'm just going to quote the article here. As outlined in a Steam community Q&A update, once players unseal graffiti, they can apply the pattern 50 times. Players who unseal a graffiti pattern already housed in their inventory will receive an additional 50 charges to their existing supply, and players can only apply graffiti once per round. However, or every 45 seconds if matches run longer, and one application of graffiti lasts just 7 minutes and degrades over time until it is no longer visible. So
I do want to send a shout out to Average Homeboy, who's the guy in our
yes
brought that up to
yes, definitely. So what do you guys think of this?
Less excited, but also I don't care, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's very much just visual, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're going to do, you can upload whatever JPEG you want and use that as your spray, and you can spray it as many times as you want.
Yeah, I don't know if you should give players the power to do that in this day and age.
Haven't you
That's
been...
how it
Well, that's
works
how
in
it used
Team
to be.
Fortress, right?
Yeah, Team Fortress. Okay, that's what it was. Team Fortress has the custom sprays, right?
Yeah, you can have GIFs as well. Put your spray as anything. There's been so many times I've been kicked from games for having an inappropriate spray.
I do. I've seen so many GIFs of the porn GIF, the porn spray Strikes Again, where a spy will put up a naked lady and then somebody stops and stares at it.
Jesus.
I guess you're either gonna buy it or you're not, right?
No. You're looking at this the wrong way. You have to get outraged over this because you have to pay for something in a video game.
It's weird because I mean, what do this? Because I've been out of like CS for a while, but like, what do the sprays do? It's literally just something aesthetic to put on the wall, right?
Yeah, that's it.
It's kind of like it's
like
the same thing as like
sticker,
Overwatch
basically.
does, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
Yeah.
you technically have to. I mean, you do have a chance to get them for free randomly through the loot boxes, but you buy the sprays on Overwatch with like the currency, which
but the currency you can't acquire via any other way than in a loot box. You can't directly buy gold to spend in game.
No, you can buy a loot box that has the chance of gold, so it's almost worse in a way because it's gambling it. You're gambling your chance, but the point is I guess it's I don't know. I guess you can unlock it in games, so there is that.
Do I wish it was different? Yeah, I mean, of course.
It just seems like a weird thing to monetize.
Well, they have to do something that they're not going to do the whole skin trading thing anymore. They just can't allow that because of the recent controvery surrounding that.
They
So this
really,
just
or
seems
are
like
they
a
just
knee-jerk
gonna,
reaction.
Wait a minute. I can't buy skins on the community market anymore?
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, the way it's worded here seems like that's going to be phased out.
They're doing something because of all the allegations that's been happening lately. Because you know how people use those skins as currency for gambling. The whole idea is that you sell that skin on a third-party site so you can cash out your winnings. But I guess they've been under enough pressure from a lot of different sites and lawmakers saying, "Hey, you're basically just condoning online gambling when it's illegal, and you're just turning a blind eye." So I think Valve is being pressured to do something about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't trade them anymore, right? Is what you're saying. But I could still buy them off the community market?
Perhaps.
Also, you should still be able to trade skins. That's ridiculous. That I am upset about, that you can't trade skins anymore. Mm-hmm. That I am upset about.
Yeah, it seems like a cornerstone of the community in that video game. So that's one of the draws is just gone because people seem to be nuts about skin trading, just using skins in general.
Sorry. Like the 4-year-old me skin trading.
Oh, you made it weird.
No, but I mean, how do you guys feel about the whole gambling scene around CS though? Because I feel like a lot of these issues start stemming from that in general, just like the gambling.
I don't give a flying fuck. There's two kinds of people in this world.
I think they need to I don't know. I don't think it's right to have a game that you pay for and then microtransaction bollocks. I think that if I'm paying $15 for this game, then I should have the game. And I think that if you want it in microtransaction stuff, then make the game free to play.
No, because a lot of these
games...
That's
not true. We all agreed that cosmetic microtransactions are fine. Like 2 years ago, we all decided it's okay.
Yes, we collectively, as a podcast, we decided that, no, we don't really mind it.
And as a group of gamers in general also. Cosmetic microtransactions are no problem and they're totally allowed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a bit naive to think that they shouldn't be in modern games nowadays because a lot of them are competitive and the microtransactions do pay for continued development of free updates for those games. So it's a trade-off.
Right, but if it's something that they've removed from the game and then sold back to you, that's going back to the old Capcom ways of disc-locked content and shit. It's here's we've had this game fully made and then we're going to take out all these characters and then sell them back. It's
well, the key is that it's cosmetic. That's probably the key word in that statement there, is that it's just a visual effect that changes nothing about it.
But
as long as it doesn't...
Jamie does make a good point, though, because it'd be different if it's something they were adding out of the blue, but it's something that was once in the game, they removed, and then now they're going to sell it.
Yeah, the fact that this is something that if you were used to encounter now, they've taken it out for whatever reason, and then they're putting it back in, but you have to pay for it. If this was a whole new system, I'm okay, I guess that's one thing. But if, when you get used to something, and then they're saying, well, you can have this thing that you used to have for free, but now you got to pay for it.
But that was also in Counter-Strike 1.6. And, I mean, before that, when it was a Half-Life mod, that was where the sprays were, free and infinite and whatever you wanted them to be. I don't think that Counter-Strike Go has ever had until this time. I could be wrong.
No. I think you're right because the article does mention that it's coming to CS:GO, so it's a new thing apparently. Yeah, I don't really mind this because it's pretty harmless, even though it is a tiny bit nefarious as well. You know what I mean, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with what they're doing, but it just feels like. It's
cheeky.
It's wrong.
It's
cheeky. Cheeky. It's a bit naughty, isn't it?
I like that word. That word seems innocuous enough to denounce this. Oh, it's cheeky.
It seems like they're going for, in general, about like 61 cents on the marketplace right now when I looked at the spread. There's some that are like $10 though, which is crazy. To put a sticker down 50 times is going to cost you $10. That's
has to be insanity. One fucking awesome sticker then.
Yeah, not really. The one with the weed leaf on it is obviously more expensive than the other one.
Another demographic.
Which is exactly what you would expect.
It's I don't know. It's a weird line. Yeah, it's cosmetic, whatever. If you're not going to buy it, doesn't affect you. And it, especially for something that's not renewable, it's not like you get the skin forever. It's just up.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that maybe it needs a more reasonable price point, because $10 seems like a lot for limited.
I mean, the market.
Yeah, you
wants
buy a
what
skin,
it wants.
you get to use it forever. Whatever. People buy it or they won't. I guess that's how I feel about it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but $10 for one. How many cents is that per use?
For 50, 20 cents each.
Oh, there you go. 20 cents a pop, Tom. Yeah, even I don't believe that. Nothing inherently wrong with that, but it just feels cheeky, as Jamie said. Very good. All right, let's shuffle on over to other business. Pokemon Go. You guys play that?
It's still around?
Nope.
Yeah, it's still around. Oh, you still play it, do you?
Yeah, but you're like in Europe. You guys are stuck in the 80s.
What the hell?
Jamie loves it.
No, yeah.
Jamie,
you just got like Family Matters, didn't you?
What? Yeah, what do you think? We don't all live in Victorian London. That's not what Europe is. Hell, that's not even what London is anymore.
That's what I think. I think that ambergris is your main currency, and there's an orphanage on every block.
Yeah, my computer is actually a steampunk machine operated by whale oil.
I don't know.
Why
That's
not?
one thing the internet has taught me is that Europe is a good decade or two behind in culture.
Oh, dude, give me a second. I just go fix
I need to polish my clogs again. No. So, Pokemon Go. You still play it. The rest of us don't. But apparently, even though it has reached its peak popularity quite a while ago, it's still making around 2 million a day. And that is even when the game's not out yet in China, which is a very, very large part of the market, and it could potentially sweep that entire nation as well. According to a news report by Newzo, which is a company of industry analysts, Pokemon Go has made around $470 million in the first 80 days of its lifetime, thanks to more than 550 million installs, most of which were comprised of people playing the game due to them growing up with the franchise, instantly catapulting developer Niantic Labs to the pole position of mobile gaming. 2 million a day is still... That's still far from bad. I mean, they could rebuild an entire South African village every single day.
That's more than they deserve for what they've made.
No, but you've got a buddy system now, so that's all justified.
Yeah, they've got a new update coming out soon as well.
Yeah.
But if everyone has it, it's still right.
I think it's kind of like... I always feel weird about moves like that, where they're like, we're going to release this update, because it's like, well, all of those people that dedicated their lives to this for a good few months and caught everything a few months ago when it was super rare, and now every arsehole's going to have it just for logging on.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. They don't care about that demographic because they're not a concern anymore. What they care about is the people that have quit because they...
Oh, I just quit because I got over it really quickly. I mean, it hasn't got a lot of mechanics.
I do wish there was something that I could do, without leaving. I know it, completely negates the whole idea of the game, but I wish there was something I could do without having to, fucking go out.
You can. It's called GPS spoofing. People have done it, people are doing it, and people have gone banned over it, but you can try.
No, I'm above that.
You're above that.
Yeah.
Hey,
might
Chris,
be too late.
remind me again, but when Pokemon Go first came out, I know Sam was on the boat that this was going to fade away really quickly. What were you saying?
Fuck, dude, I can't even
Did
remember
you agree?
what
Were
I
you
ate
like,
2
this
days
is
ago.
forever? It's Pokemon.
I don't really know. I tend to be
No.
quite moderate in my opinions. I think I sort of agreed with him, but at the time I hoped that he would be wrong. I think, although other people can go back and check if I really did say that, and if I said something completely different, go to Discord, talk to Sam, he'll sort you out.
There you guys. If you guys can track this down, you get a shout out next episode.
Just don't tweet me, tweet Sam.
I mean, it's just kind of cool
I
though,
don't have one of
because
those.
it is, like he was right. It's one of those games that it had the nostalgia factor in. So everybody was all up in arms for a few months, and then even though Pokemon does have a lot of backlog to pull from, adding new evolutions, different areas, it just seems like there wasn't enough meat on Pokemon Go to kind of make it last.
Mm-hmm. There's some more interesting statistics here. 83% of people who played that game also played other Pokemon games in the past 3 months. It's most popular in the USA, followed by the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And Japan in third place. And apparently...
How do they know that?
Sorry, what?
How do they know that?
They're industry analysts. I mean, if... This is apparently what they do for a living. I don't know.
Why are you so suspicious?
I mean, because I'm just curious about how they would have gotten that. I mean, a market research survey or something,
Probably.
maybe? I don't know.
Possibly. Or maybe they got data from Nintendo or Niantic directly. I don't really know. According to their research, though, Dota 2 and Smite players were most likely playing Pokemon Go as well, because apparently that game is really popular with people who play Dota 2. And 46% of people playing Pokemon Go also are into Candy Crush Saga, and 77% of Clash Royale players also play Pokemon Go at some point.
Yeah, those stats are really weird because they don't necessarily mean any kind of correlation. Like, they don't have any kind of cause and effect. It could just simply be, hey, Dota 2
it's just incidental stuff. Incidentally, people playing this game also really like this one. There is correlation, but not directly any form of causation, I guess.
Yeah, I have no qualms with the cell phone games. It's easy to see like this person's Google account is subscribed to both of these things.
Yeah,
Dota 2 is weird.
Well, I mean, it's just
and the other Pokemon game is weird because there's a leap there that I don't know how those accounts are linked without sending somebody a survey that says what kind of games have you like and what have you played in the last 6 months.
I mean, which I'm guessing that might be what they do. They just do market research.
Yeah, that's probably what they do. Is there anything else I missed here? Yeah, at its peak, they made $16 million per day, which is ludicrous. And that game's still quite popular, but the trend around it faded a bit. And now you don't really see people out and about playing Pokemon Go every single day. You just see little pockets of people sometimes shuffling by while they're looking at their phone, talking about Pokemon. Right. So,
Have you guys ever had Yoo-Hoo before?
Sorry, what?
Have you had Yoo-Hoo?
Yoo-Hoo?
Yes.
Yeah,
No
it's
idea.
an American drink. It's like a chocolate water thing. But I have this firm theory that Pokemon is a lot like Yoo-Hoo and that their marketing team is expressly aiming it at people that haven't had one in a while.
Right.
Because it feels like every time one of these Pokemon games, it's mainly old Pokemon players that kind of go that resurgence of like the titles again. Mm-hmm. Sorry, there is a motorcycle in the background.
A motorcycle, you mean Corgi?
Yeah, he does not like loud noises.
Neither do I, yet here we are.
Oh, snap. Savage.
Yeah, link to the report in the show notes, either on Tumblr or in the actual description of the video you're watching right now, or the podcast you're listening to right now, either via iTunes or SoundCloud. And I think this brings us to the end of today's episode. That's all I wanted to talk about. We've been talking for quite a long time, even for our standards, right? So, thank you again for listening and for tuning in. We hope to see you next week. Check out all our social media accounts and stuff. Follow us on there, on those websites, or send us an email. Tell us what you think about us. Tell us what you don't like about us. Whatever it is, hit us up. And if you want to talk to us directly, talk to Sam. My name is Chris Anderson. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.